Ready?
Yeah.
There you go. I got these new microphones, and I was going to use them for today, but obviously
These are wireless.
no, they're just wireless, so we don't have to speak right into here.
This makes you feel so professional, though.
No, but it's annoying. You can't. And I move all the time. I got criticized for moving so much.
Dude, I've been criticized for everything. Here we go.
All right, you ready? Alrighty.
All right.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of King of the Court. Thank you for joining us. First, we want to get started with our sponsors. Jimmy, who's our first sponsor?
We're going to go with the Pickler.
They are our title sponsor.
Title sponsor, number one Stennas. Anyone ever heard that song?
No.
Okay. Anyways, number one title sponsor, the Pickler Shop. The Pickler. Pickler is the premier indoor pickleball facility.
They just announced 80 plus new franchise locations.
Yeah, franchise locations all across the United States.
Yeah, I think even the world.
The world, yeah. I know that they have mentioned that they want to get into Canada, Australia, some other country I can't remember. But anyways, Pickler, they have amazing facilities. They are top notch. One thing the Pickler does that other facilities that we won't mention that
Tell us, Jimmy.
don't do, they actually carpet between the courts.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know if it helps with the sound.
Helps with the sound and adds a more premium feature.
Yeah, it adds a premium feel to
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I think I love that. I think that, anyways, that's one thing the Pickler does. They also have the picklershop.com.
You can get any paddle, bag, balls, anything like that on picklershop.com. Use code KOTC for your next purchase. They've got great customer service and they have a lot to choose from.
And for all of you that are Tyrus stands, the stack is on there. You can buy stack gear, right?
Exactly.
And you can use code KOTC for stack gear?
You can try. I don't know if they'll go through or not.
Maybe, but go get that pink visor. Go get the Tyra visor. Right? Anyways.
Exactly.
Yes. Pickler Shop. Check
Next, we got Crown Pickleball, our longest standing partnership with Crown Pickleball. They are great.
The OG sponsor.
The OG.
Kevin Perkins, that dude, he's got some good content on social media.
Give him a follow.
Yeah, go follow Kevin and Crown Pickleball. He loves the sport. They're a great ball. We have not had any issues with them. We've used them in all different temperatures. They hold their shape. They're not super wobbly. Yeah, I mean, we're big proponents of
So we text with him quite a bit, and he said if we can mention that they're doing a new color of a ball, it's a pink ball, and it's going to support cancer research.
Yes.
And so they're doing an F cancer pink ball to support cancer cure. I don't know. What could it be?
I don't know. So you press the
Sensor. So yeah, go check it out. I don't think they're available yet, but you can get on a list. And so all the proceeds are going to support cancer cure organizations.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I think it's a great cause, and I don't know, pink ball would be kind of cool. It'd be interesting to play with and see how that,
Exactly.
aesthetically.
Crown Pickleballs, use code KOTC to save on your purchase.
Yes.
Next, we got mod balls. Geez, this does not stay still.
No.
Next, we got mod balls. Jimmy, he loves these, right?
I do.
He keeps them in business, according to some of the comments.
Some people think that I mean, it's all I eat, right? I do eat a lot of mod balls. I'll be honest with you. I'm a big fan. I enjoy a good mod ball. Yeah, they're clean, sustainable energy. What more do you need?
Super easy to carry. This is what they look like. They come in this package. They're fit in bags, backpacks, just whatever. I use them. They taste good. I can actually and truthfully say that they taste good, and they're clean energy to keep you sustained throughout the day.
Yes.
Go check them out at modballs.com and use code KOTC to save some money and support our show.
Yes.
And last but not least, we have Vulcan. Vulcan just released their new Vulcan 700 series. Go check it out. It's the paddle I'm using, the V730 Max. I enjoy it. I like it. It's got a ton of grit that stays on the paddle rather than wearing off after 1 or 2 months.
Yeah, it's like built in. It's like it's very interesting. You've got to see one in person. But yeah, I mean, that new Vulcan paddle is pretty sick. So go check it out.
Alrighty. If you have not seen our last video, go check it out. I think it's our best performing video. We have over 22,000 people that have seen it, and so we appreciate all those that have watched it, commented, shared on it. Feel free to check it out. We kind of do a recap of what was going on last week. So this week was shockingly a little bit slower. It was
a little bit quieter. There were still some things that happened though.
Yeah,
there's some things that we had that our last video hadn't kind of come to fruition yet. So just a quick recap. So yeah, for those that didn't, I think most people have watched it, but you can go back and watch it. But essentially, Steve Kuhn watched a lot of Succession. Have you seen that show?
That's a great one.
A lot of Succession, and he pulled off the hostile takeover.
TBD, kind of.
Okay. I think
it's in process.
It's in process. Yeah. I think that, yeah. So that's kind of what happened. He got the board, they voted. We've kind of been over all this. And so now everybody had that just crazy arms race where it was PPA trying to sign as many people as possible, MLP trying to sign as many people as possible. Everybody was split, everybody was divided. And at the end of the day, it was like, okay, now what? Mm-hmm. And there was still, our last pod left off, there was still one group left to decide. Mm-hmm. And it was the Johnson clan, we'll call them. Julie Johnson's kids, which were J-Dub, Georgia, Gabe Tardio, Millie Rain, and Dylan Frazier.
Yes.
And they ended up deciding to go with MLP. Mm-hmm. They got a pretty sick deal, I'll be real.
Yes, from what the rumors are, yes.
Yes, from what the rumors are, they got a pretty insane deal. All 5 of them went to MLP.
Rumors also is that they've received a lot of that capital up front.
They did receive a wire in a very large amount, is what the rumor was.
And I believe they are the only ones that have received it from that signing from MLP.
Are they? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
That's what the rumor is.
Yes. Yeah. But so they did go MLP. I think we got to always be fair on this pod. And I think that definitely is a huge coup for MLP. If we're looking at just pure players, J-Dub and Dylan are probably the clear-cut number 2 doubles team. Mm-hmm. Millie doesn't move the needle for me, I'll be honest. Mm-hmm. She doesn't move the needle. She is what she is. She's a challenger level female. She's has potential, but she's definitely surrounding herself with the right people, I'll say.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's who you know. Tardio, he actually did not get picked in Premier League. I don't think people remember that, but he did not get picked. Most people thought he was going to go Premier League. Mm-hmm. He went Challenger, but his last couple of weeks, his results have been really good.
I would even say this year his results have been pretty solid.
Yeah, I think he was definitely a big miss. Yeah. In fact, I know that Columbus, they took Colin Johns over Gabe Tardio, and that pissed off a lot of people in the Johnson camp.
Yeah.
Because they felt like Gabe was, he's kind of the future. He trains with J-Dub. It just made sense. Mm-hmm. My own personal opinion is I think that Gabe Tardio is going to replace Dylan Frazier as JW's partner at some point in the near future.
Sure, I could definitely see that. I was talking to Gabe, and he said, this was before everything happened, blew up, but he said he already had a couple tournaments for next year lined up with J-Dub.
Yeah.
And so they're already planning for a couple.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of, It allows Dylan to spread his wings a little bit, and in the MLP format, J-Dub and Dylan aren't going to be able to play together anyways. Mm-hmm. Like it's, on that team thing. You're not going to allow a team to get J-Dub and Dylan.
No.
It's just not going to work that way. So, but with them, and then Georgia obviously is, she's 16, 17. She's
around there, yeah.
Yeah, around 16 or 17. She's obviously a solid female player. Mm-hmm. So to land all 5 of them, I'll be real. I thought that MLP already had a slight lead. I think that definitely swung the pendulum. If you want to look at just straight volume of solid quality players, I think that swings things in MLP's favor.
Do you know much of the details on that? Like, was it everyone's choice to go MLP or were they split?
So what I was told is that J-Dub was 50-50 all along. Mm-hmm. Georgia and Dylan were Team MLP. Gabe was almost 100% PPA. And Millie was just happy to be there.
Yeah.
I actually don't know that for sure. But Millie, no offense, you don't have a say. And so in the end, here's what's interesting is the structure of this deal was like crazy complex.
Because we actually heard maybe 2 to 3 days before they actually announced it, we actually heard rumors that they were going the way that they went to MLP.
Yeah.
And so it was just kind of interesting that there was those 1 to 2 days delay.
So they were going and then it fell apart. I think they've literally restructured this deal 7 or 8 times. And then it fell apart and then it came back and then it fell apart. And what's crazy is I even was told like the morning that they actually signed that they were like, we're back at square one.
Yeah.
But so Patrick McGee is J-Dub's agent. He was, I don't know if he's still with Octagon, but he was with Octagon. Octagon is one of the biggest agencies out there. I mean, Octagon had Steph Curry.
Yep.
Right. I mean, that tells you like how big of an agency is. J-Dub is not with some mom and pop shop, that's only like, no offense, but that's only representing like pickleball players. I don't know if you've ever seen the Top Notch offices, but it looks like your grandma's house. Like,
I'll have to Google it.
Yeah. You go Google Earth Top Notch Management. It literally looks like a shed in your backyard. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
All top businesses started in a garage.
Yeah,
You look at Apple, you look at Google.
Good for them. There's no knock on it. I'm just telling you that Octagon's a little bit of a different level.
Yeah.
And so I know that the structure of it was just wild. Like, I mean, it wasn't just money. And at one point, but with PPA, they were just offering money and they just kept adding money and adding money and adding money and adding money. At one point I heard that PPA literally added like $300,000 or $400,000. Like, here, let's go here. And like the Johnsons had said no to their previous offer. PPA adds 300,000. And it's like, well, if they're saying no to, I don't know what the number is, but we'll just go out. If they're saying no to 2 million, they don't care about 2.3 million. Yeah. Right. So obviously there was something else that the Johnsons wanted that MLP was able to provide.
So what was that? Are you able to
I don't know. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's Julie got taken care of. I don't know if it's, Julie has dreams of an academy. I honestly don't know. Like this is all speculation. I don't know if, Dylan, wants to be separate from J-Dub. Does Dylan want to go on his own?
He has to if he's doing MLP. He's never going to be on the same team as J-Dub.
Yeah, exactly.
At least his first year.
So is Dylan wanting to go on his own?
Yeah.
Do the Johnsons, I mean, like I said, this is 100% speculation. Do the Johnsons, were they really grooming Pardoe to be J-Dub's partner?
Yeah.
And if that's the case, you could probably get J-Dub and Pardoe on the same MLP team.
Yeah, I think down the road. I don't think in the beginning. Probably not the first year, but maybe
with free
after
agency,
that.
now it's free agency.
Yeah.
So remember, there will not be a draft. Right? They're not going to draft.
Okay.
So these owners who have good relationships have a chance to get really whoever they want.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I don't know. It will be interesting. I love MLP. I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed playing it, but going back and looking back at almost all of the matches, I was with Ben Johns, and even the teams that you could say that we blew out, they were all close. They're all almost 14-14, 15-15.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
you're really only fighting for like 8 points or so.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it'll be interesting to see if the dynamics of that being they're able to stay close, or if we'll start seeing more teams blow out other teams.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that like obviously makes MLP so popular is that most of the games are intense. Most of the games are close. I mean, we saw, Megan and Etta 21-6.
Yeah.
We saw Lucy and Callie 21-6.
Yeah.
But that's very, very rare.
That's very rare. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I think that I'm curious what happens with MLP. I think though that they have 99 players right now signed. And I think they ended up with 33 or 34 of the Premier League players. So you have 34 of the 48.
Yeah, I think PPA ended with 15 to 17, somewhere in that number.
Yeah, so I mean...
Is there anyone not signed?
So there's a couple...
That was in the Premier
League?
Nobody
in Premier is not signed. And honestly, I don't think anybody in Challenger isn't signed right now.
Okay.
Now, there's a few names out there, like people were talking about, like Frank Anthony Davis, Fad, posted this big, long... freaking novel. I didn't read the whole thing, but basically about why he wasn't signed.
Why wasn't he? Did you read it?
I can tell you why he wasn't.
Why?
Because he's a single specialist that's not that good at singles.
Okay.
That's why he's not signed. Like I'm not, but he
A single specialist.
that's not very good at singles.
Hey, he's beaten me a couple times.
Yeah, he's fine. He has some decent wins. That's my favorite. By the way, this is my favorite part, okay? And I know that there's no other way to judge in pickleball, so I totally get why people do this. But when I've had a lot of players reach out to me, just like, hey, can you get me, the contact with the right person, get me a contract. Yeah, I literally have had people say, get me a contract, which is like, here you go. Here's $100,000. Who are you again?
Yeah.
But my favorite part is they say stuff like, I have wins over
so-and-so, yeah.
so-and-so or so-and-so, or I have, I've beaten the top 8. And so it's like, okay, well, what are those wins? Because not all wins are created equal, right? So you beat Tyler Loong, in whatever, in mixed in 2020 when he was playing with Michelle Esquivel. Like, no offense, but I don't know if that's going to like move the needle that you beat him 3 years ago and Michelle Esquivel was his partner.
Yeah.
Right. Not that she's not fine as a player. It's just like all wins are just a little bit different.
For sure. Yeah. Every situation is going to be different. You want to know one thing that's funny? I was playing with a player the other day that signed with MLP, and we were talking about the whole situation in general. And he's all like, if MLP or either organization came up to me a year ago, even a couple months ago, and said, hey, I'll give you $50,000, all travel, all expenses paid for, everything like that, I would have signed in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And now you get players asking for 150, 200 minimum, and they're still trying to negotiate.
And it's not enough.
Exactly.
It's not enough for them. They're getting 300,000 and it's not enough because, and look, a market's been established, okay? There's been a value that's been established. So I get why a player will say like, well, I got 200. And even though that player probably would be ecstatic with 200,000 a year ago or even 6 months ago, when you see another player getting 300 that you think you're better than, you're like, no, I need to ask for more. So I get that the market's been established, but honestly, they probably could have came up, this is just my thought, a slotted system. And they literally could have said, okay, if you're the number 1 ranked player in the world, you get 500,000.
The only issue is then those people may have gone to the other competing tour.
For sure. And that's why the market ended up shifting and it ended up getting so much inflation. But if there's only one tour, imagine if in the end there's only one tour, okay? Because I don't think, hot take, I don't think we see a merger.
So a couple episodes ago, you said that you predicted one by the end of this year.
I thought there'd be a merger. I think that we actually see the opposite of a merger, and we see that one tour dissolves the other. And
what do you mean by dissolves?
And what I mean by that is I think one tour essentially buys all the assets of the other tour.
Okay.
Whether that's PPA or MLP, I think that's where we're headed. And they don't.
And what's your timeline on this?
Merging by the end of the year. It's got to be by the end of the year.
No,
because in 2024, it's going to be a bloodbath.
No,
because we know that PPA sent out an email that said to all the players that said business as usual.
Yep.
So they want all the players to come to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I heard they're going to treat them well. There was a lot of speculation on will they pay us? Will they do this? Will they do that?
Yeah.
Also, I want to make the record straight. Okay, a couple things.
Okay.
So
we're all over the place, but
we're all over the place.
This is important.
Yeah. So I had somebody on Twitter say you can't listen to anything Tyler says because he is so biased. He's PPA.
Yeah.
Is that true?
So, okay, let me back up because I was told by a freaking agent, by the way, who used to work for the PPA. Now he's an agent who I thought was, we were on good terms, called me a Pardoe puppet.
Okay.
Okay. Said I'm part of the Pardoe puppetry.
Okay.
Okay. Which is wild because I actually am still technically assistant GM for the Black Bears.
Assistant to the GM.
Assistant to the general manager's assistant.
Yep.
Okay. And I've actually talked to players about getting signed by MLP.
Yeah. You've helped people get signed by MLP.
Get signed by MLP. I've actually I've gotten players contracts for MLP. And on the flip side, there's players that I've honestly...
You've helped with PPA.
With PPA. Well. I've said you're a better PPA fit.
Yeah. Right?
It is what it is. There's no dog in this fight, but I will say that, I do think that MLP has taken a little bit of a lead. And we know, I won't say who, but there's a couple execs at PPA that kind of felt the same way, right? You and I heard that together. That doesn't mean it's over. That doesn't mean that Listen, dude.
You're getting canceled again.
Connor Pardoe is not going to lay down. Like, let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
Connor Pardoe is not going to lay down.
Yeah.
Right? He has built a tour. I mean, you can't take that away from him. He built a tour. He literally destroyed the APP in a sense that, APP is more like lower level players now.
Yeah.
He got all those PPA players to sign exclusive deals, right? He ended up getting all the best players in the world. He spent a lot of time, a lot of money building this. He's not going to lay down. I can't imagine he's going to lay down. Maybe he will, or maybe Tom Dundon lays down and then Connor's stuck. I don't know. But I just don't think that we've seen the end of it. Okay. So, yes, you do have a little bit of bias because you were on the PPA tour. That doesn't mean that you can't see it clearly.
Yeah.
And that's the weirdest thing is like, I hear these players that are like, F Pardoe and this and that. And I get it because I think that those players have had a history with him that hasn't been great to begin with. But it also doesn't mean that like James Ignatowicz was like, I don't have any issues with the PPA. This was just a better fit for me. Right. And I don't see anything wrong with that. For you didn't have any issues with PPA or with MLP and PPA was a better fit for you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. Like you don't have to hate the one to love the other. You know what I'm saying?
No, I fully agree. And that's basically what, along with being biased. I mean, you look at any news organization, CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, any influencer, any celebrity, every single one of those people is going to be biased to some degree. It's whether or not you announce it and you let that affect your decision.
Yeah.
And so I'm always upfront. I say, hey, I've been with the PPA. I like them, but I don't like that they do this, or I do like that they do that. And so I feel like I'm actually fairly level-headed in regard to most things.
Well, I know for a fact that there's someone at the PPA that doesn't like the things that you say about the PPA.
Me?
Yeah.
Are you sure it's not you?
No, it's you.
Uh-oh.
This is some of the tweets that you've sent out. And,
okay, yeah.
And like this podcast in general
yes,
is not
true.
good for the PPA, allegedly.
Yeah.
But yet I was told that our podcast was 80-20 PPA, favorable. And so it's like, I think if both sides are a little bit pissed off, we're doing something right. You know what I'm saying? Like we're staying fairly neutral.
One thing I'm going to put out there, and there's been a lot of talk about PPA not paying players, I think at all or on time.
Yeah.
And I want to put
What's
the
your
record
experience on
straight
that?
from somebody at the PPA. They said that is totally a lie. They said we can pull up anybody's record, their date for when they played a tournament, and we can show you when they were paid. And so I thought that was kind of interesting because
we ask if there's any players that have not
been paid.
Reach out to us. I would love to. I would love to hear that.
And
honestly.
they said, we want to come on and we want to set the record straight. We can pull up everybody's name and show you when they were paid, when they played the tournament and everything like that. And so I thought that was kind of interesting because I think there is a lot of, reputation with the PPA that they A, don't pay their players, and then B, don't pay them on time. Sure, there's been some tournaments where they haven't paid on time, but eventually we've always received the money.
Yes.
And so I thought that was interesting because I think there's 2 or 3 players that are coming to my mind right now that are claiming that they don't pay them at all.
Was it Zane?
I think he's one of them. Yeah. So I'd be interested to see if he's just complaining about he hasn't received the money at all or if it's just on time. Because those are 2 different things.
They are 2 different things, but I also think that on time matters too.
Sure, it matters. But if you're reporting or saying that, hey, these guys aren't paying at all,
there's a difference.
That's a big difference.
Yes, I agree. But I think on time matters. Like if my employer wasn't paying me on time, I'd be pretty pissed, right? Yeah. But also a lot of these players, and Zane, obviously, we know he can live off of $30,000 a year, so he's fine. But a lot of these players, they're scraping by.
Yeah.
And they need that paycheck from this tournament to get to the next tournament, right? And to book flights and to do all these things. So paying them on time for a lot of them is very important.
But I thought that was really interesting that they said
paying it all.
PPA said we will sit down with whoever it is and say you played this tournament and we paid you out on this date.
Yeah.
So
again, in my humble opinion, my very humble opinion,
you are one of the most humble people out there, Jimmy.
As humble as it gets. I think that we are going to see one side come out ahead.
Maybe in the long run, but I don't think by the end of this year. You're talking within 3 months or so.
So
essentially.
you think that next year, 2024?
Yeah.
Okay. PPA has $15 million committed in salaries. MLP has $15 or $20 million committed in salary. I would probably say PPA has, I would guess PPA has more because they have Ben and Annalie, whatever they're paying those two. So say they both have 15 million committed in salaries next year, okay? You're going to run 2 tours side by side simultaneously. And what's your freaking burn rate?
Yeah, it's a lot.
I mean, it's a lot of money, right? Right? And one tour is going to have 80 players, 80 of the top 100 players in the world. But there's always going to be that, comment about, well, Ben's not there, Annalie's not there, all
I don't know.
players.
I mean, this
and
is.
And then the other side, though, but here's the other side.
Yeah.
Like, the other side is going to have, what, 12, 15 players of the top players? And so what happens? Like, if Callie Smith and Elise Jones play together, and Annalie and Catherine play together, who's Lucy Kovalova play with?
Oh, I'm sure there'll be somebody else that comes onto the scene.
Lauren
I mean,
Stratman?
there's a lot of other options.
I know, but I'm just saying that right now there's a lot of unknowns.
Sure.
Right? And
But you can also say that with MLP. Almost anything that you say with PPA can be used with the same argument.
Other than the depth of the roster.
Yeah, the only thing with PPA is, you look at, they have qualifiers. Do you know how many people sign up for singles qualifiers?
I understand that, but it still hurts the depth. It hurts the depth of it still hurts the depth. Alex Lawhan plays qualifiers.
Yeah.
Right? Now Alex Lawhan is going to, we know Alex, he's a good friend of
He'll
ours.
still play qualifiers.
But now Alex Lawhan is going to play main draws.
Permanent qualifier.
Yeah, I'm just saying it hurt. The one thing you can't argue is that it hurts the depth.
Yeah.
They have more depth than the other one.
Sure. Yeah, that's pretty agreeable, I think.
Yeah. But everything else, yes. Like what happens with everything else, right?
My personal opinion, and I know this is going to get a lot of flack, but I do not think the JW move the pendulum all that much.
He's never going to play with you.
Well, if he's doing MLP, he can't. So, yeah. He's a good player. He's a great player, but I just don't. I don't know.
You don't think he does? You don't think he had? Okay. What about this? Like
So
with PPA,
in the pickleball community, it's huge. Outside the pickleball community, nobody knows.
Sure, but does anybody know? Period. Outside the pickleball community,
do they know what?
Do they know about any of this outside the pickleball community? Like, has this gotten the national run that any
or Yahoo Sports?
Yahoo Sports, yeah, you got quoted on there. But has it gotten like the national run that other?
I don't know. I just don't think that the JW Johnson was a final blow to the PPA. I don't believe in that. I don't buy that notion at all.
I don't know if it's like the final blow, but I think it's definitely the blow that if you're PPA, you got to take a step back and you got to say, okay, what are we going to do? But
I don't know. It's going to be fun with Jack Sock and all these other tennis players out there.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be awesome watching Donald Young play 4-0 pickleball, but he's going to rip some insane passing shots.
His forehand is wild.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
Nuts.
So I'm saying there's going to be like excitement, but he's also not a great pickleball player, right? Yeah. I guess potential's there.
All right. I feel like we're just going in circles.
But let's go here real quick because PPA did what PPA does. This is what we're talking about. This is the Connor Pardoe, how he's not going to lay down.
Yeah.
They went full speed ahead with Vibe, right? They literally are announcing a draft, right? November, I think, or December.
Yes.
They're going to have their first Vibe event in Vegas.
Yeah.
Like they went full freaking speed ahead. And so, like I said, they're not laying down, right? Like they're just going to go, they must be pretty happy with some of the players that they got.
Yeah.
And so, we're definitely headed for right now. It's 2024. It looks like a split, but I just think cooler heads are going to prevail, and we're going to see.
That's what you said last time about.
I know, and it got worse.
Yeah,
but that's my prediction. In 3 months, if I'm wrong, then I'll make another one. That's the best part.
All right.
So,
Steve Kuhn, Ken Herman. Spotted
multiple. Yeah. Oh my, that was funny. Like those pictures, it was like someone's behind a bush. Like, go up and ask them for their picture.
So, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, one, Steve Kuhn was wearing a Rancher shirt.
Yeah, I feel like that shouldn't be allowed. Could you imagine the commissioner of NBA wearing a specific team?
Right? Like, what if Adam Silver, NBA commissioner, was like walking around wearing?
Maybe he does.
What if he was walking around wearing like a Steph Curry jersey?
Yeah.
Right? Like that would be a little weird. I agree. Yeah. I agree with that. Or he's like wearing a LeBron jersey.
Yeah. I mean, this is all very small stuff, but I do think it's a little bit funny.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
Thoughts? So spotted together.
Yeah.
There's a lot of rumors that MLP is trying to work out a deal with APP. And what they're trying to do
MLP is trying to work out a deal, or APP is trying to work out a deal?
I think both. Because here's what I think that the knock on MLP is how do new players break into MLP?
Sure.
If you only have 96, right?
Yeah.
Or if they expand or whatever, you only have 96 players and you have where PPA, you mentioned the qualifiers, right? You mentioned 5-0 tournaments, amateur tournaments, right? Those 5-0s become qualifiers and then they become pros, right? MLP doesn't have that.
Yeah.
So the best bet for MLP is to get in bed with APP.
Yeah.
And you go to Ken Herman and that becomes your feeder system.
Do you want to know a interesting stat that I heard? Well, it's not stat, but just a piece of data.
Yeah.
So you know the 80%, 20% rule with MLP players, if they play outside tournaments, they have to give 80% supposedly goes to MLP. I heard, and I could be wrong, but I heard from a player that 80% of MLP tournaments also goes back to MLP, and they only get 20% of that prize money. And so he said he looked at the fine print and he asked for confirmation from an MLP person, and they said that's true. And it kind of makes sense because they have such a high salary that they are just giving back most of that prize money.
I might have access to an MLP contract while we're going through this.
So I thought that was super interesting.
Maybe we look
and
at
if
it.
that's true, then I think that's something that a lot of
It'd
the
be
players,
weird for MLP to give 80% back. Why give it in the first place?
just because it makes it sound cool. We're
sounds
doing
better.
$50 million in prize money, but in reality, they have to give back a lot of that to MLP.
Yeah, that's. I think that's interesting. Which
it actually makes sense to me. I mean, you always want to tout the big numbers. Everyone does this. They always inflate the numbers. For pickleball tournaments, they'll say, oh, this tournament has $500,000 worth of prize money, but when in reality, it's split between 50 divisions.
So I'll just read this word for word, okay? This says...
Should we censor the whole thing?
No, we don't have to censor this. I think this is okay. I think it says...
But I think it might be in the fine print, like at the very end.
Because this says sponsorship or promotion, any prize money as well as sponsorship or promotional money earned for participation in a non-MLP event shall be split 80% to MLP and 20% to player.
So my friend...
So this specifically says non-MLP event.
Is there small print in that you can look?
There's no small print, but let me just scroll down.
I wonder if it was just for this player's specific contract. Maybe they were doing that for specific contracts.
Yeah, I don't see anything. I will tell you this, though, that if you break this contract... $500,000 if you break that deal. So anybody thinking about flipping?
Well, up to,
yes. No, it doesn't say that, but I'll read through it like a little bit more specifically. But I don't see anything in there.
Because this person told me that they read it and they asked an MLP staff member.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, maybe contracts are different. Yeah. But what I was told though is that APP legacy players. So this might be MLP playing nice with APP. Is that APP legacy members are allowed to play both, and they're not held to the 80-20 standard.
Gotcha.
And so maybe that's MLP playing nice, saying, "Hey, look, we're not going to destroy you, APP."
Yeah.
Right, by taking, because they signed, all the top APP players, and we're not going to destroy you. Yeah. And then maybe now Steve Kuhn's going to Ken Herman and saying, "Look, we were playing nice. Let's come to a deal." Which would be interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of stuff that still needs to be sorted out.
Yeah.
The one thing that we do know that I was told this morning is that Atlanta is 100% on.
Yeah, I mean, you've heard that from MLP. We haven't heard that from PPA yet.
No,
right?
We haven't. But I think that we're at a point where both sides are playing nice. PPA has they have massive sponsors. Okay.
Yes. They
have way more sponsors than MLP. Obviously, they have big sponsorships. They can't have an event with 8 people show up. They need, until this all gets sorted out, till these up and comers, get better in 6 months. I think they still need these MLP players. And it sounds like most of the MLP players are still going to head to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
MLP on the flip side, they don't want to have to redraft. They don't want to redraft. They don't want to take, redo everything. They've already paid for events. They've already booked venues, right?
Yeah, I agree. Do you think this will change the perception or the intensity of these players at these events?
Yeah, I think
Like
so.
some of them won't care. Like if PPA is playing MLP, if they lose, they're not going to care, or vice versa. If MLP is playing PPA
in Kansas City.
Yeah.
How many of those MLP, not just MLP, but how many players in general were totally checked out in Kansas City?
Yeah.
Right? Like Matt Wright wasn't because he got to play with Ben Johns.
Yeah.
But everybody else just seemed like very checked out.
Yeah.
And I think that we're going to see that. I mean, look at an MLP event, right? Are you still going to have the same, like knowing 2020? I mean, you knew it anyway, right? Because season 1 and season 2, you changed teams. Mm-hmm. But knowing that 2024, a lot of these players probably aren't even going to be playing with you anymore. Mm-hmm. Are you just going to play the 3 events just to get through the 3 events?
Yeah.
I mean, I hope not. I think hopefully there's enough prize money on the line and that, not that people aren't going to play hard. I mean, they're all professional players. But I think it's definitely going to be a weird dynamic.
Okay.
I mean, I heard that there's already a little separation between the players.
Real quick, and I think it's slowed down a little bit, but initially, right when this was going on about a week ago, I felt like you had quite a few players kind of being pretty vocal about one or the other tour. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, like I said, I don't think that you have to hate the one to love the other, but I do think that there are players that have had bad relationships. Unfortunately, the bad relationships are more on the PPA side, and the only reason for that is because there's more. They've been with PPA longer, right? And MLP. I mean, most of these players some of them have only played three events with MLP total, and so it's just different, right? And so I think that what happens is say 2 years ago, Connor Pardoe was late on a payment. Maybe not Connor. We'll say PPA because it's not his personal guarantee of his money. But PPA was late on a payment, which we don't know. PPA is saying they haven't been, but
that's what PPA claims. Yeah,
I'm just saying, for example, or maybe someone felt mistreated by the PPA, or maybe somebody they don't like their draw, or something that happened. Now that they're out, it's like you get that bravery to speak up.
Yeah, but it's kind of interesting because nobody knows what's going to happen in the future. Nobody knows. And so what if their tour that they're playing with dies?
Yeah.
And they have no option but to go
sides.
on
That's
both
what I'm
sides.
saying, yeah.
And so I think it's kind of interesting that some players have been pretty vocal about it.
If you signed with one and then you flipped,
yeah,
wouldn't you be really nervous?
Yeah, and that did happen initially when those people came over to PPA.
Yeah, exactly. A couple people. We don't know obviously specifics, but Elise Jones was announced by MLP and then flipped to PPA.
Yeah,
Riley Newman was announced by PPA, flipped to MLP.
Same with Althoff.
Althoff was announced by PPA, flipped to MLP. Yeah. So don't you think that if that's the case, there's some. Yeah, I would be a little bit nervous because did you just completely burn that bridge?
Yeah. And for the record, I'm with PPA. I like them. I've known them for a while and everything like that. But I also really like MLP. I like the people there. Their format is very fun. I've said this multiple times. I just don't know if I would enjoy playing it 7 or 8 times a year.
Are you still excited to play for the Aces?
Yeah, I love the Aces. GM is really cool. We've got a great team. I'm excited. I mean, I don't know, assuming we play. I hope we do. But
yeah, I mean, everything I've heard is they're going to try and move forward with it, and everybody's going to play nice. And then my opinion on this is that everybody's going to play nice, and they're going to talk behind the scenes for the next couple of months. And if they don't come to an agreement, 2024, January 2024 is going to be a bloodbath.
I will say, and I could be totally wrong, I feel like there's quite a few players on one tour specifically that are having almost second kind of regrets. I feel like a lot of them didn't know exactly what they were getting into to begin with. They saw a big number on the contract and then they signed right away. And now I'm talking to a couple of them and they're almost having just kind of regrets.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to see that.
I'll say, well, I mean, it's hard for me because I'm on one side, but I've seen it more so on the other side.
From MLP to PPA?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this question, though. Do you have any regrets seeing how large the MLP roster has gotten?
No, not at all.
That doesn't concern you at all?
No, not at all.
Like if MLP, I mean, just as completely hypothetical, but say MLP buys the PPA, right? And PPA essentially just says, okay. Yeah. And that everything becomes Major League Pickleball and they're the only tour in town, right? Do you feel like you've kept your relationship fine with MLP that you'll have no issues transitioning over.
I feel like I have. Whether or not they agree, I don't know. But I feel like I've been.
But some players, this is where you got to be careful, right?
Yeah.
Because some players.
But I haven't seen too many.
Because if it flips
on the PPA side,
yeah. But if it flips,
yeah.
like, let's be real. If it flipped and PPA bought MLP, and it's Vibe and PPA and MLP is gone,
yeah.
Does Zane Navratil ever play pickleball again?
We got to get him on and we'll ask
Zane's
him.
going to be like on mini tours. Like he's playing money games.
He'll be doing his TikTok videos.
Yeah, TikTok videos playing money games at the YMCA. Like that's all he's got.
He'll do the chainsaw, Zane saw.
Yeah, he's going to be teaching people. He's going to literally be oh gosh. Zane was going to be at the park and he's going to have people paying $5 to try and return the Zane saw. He's going to be like one of those street performers.
Yeah.
You know? And like where they do the ball, the things, and he's like, "Oh no, he's gonna be like, if you can return this, I'll give you $100, but if not, you owe me $5."
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've always been pretty generous to MLP and PPA. Like I said, I like their formats.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
All right, let's get on into questions.
Yeah, let's go questions.
So we had a lot of people write in, so we're going to try to just kind of fire these off and just answer them fairly quickly. So let's see.
I got a couple too, actually.
Okay. All right. You ready, Jimmy?
Yeah. Here's one that I got. I find myself not even watching Championship Sunday anymore because it's boring just watching Ben and Annalie win all the time. Mm-hmm. Do you think the MLP and PPA splitting up players will be a good thing for the sport overall?
I don't think it's a good thing for the sport. I don't think it's as bad as people think. Everyone complains about how Ben and Emily are just going to win everything. They've been winning everything for the past 3 to 4 years. And so it's not going to be any different from what it's been.
I'd actually be curious what the numbers are because I've heard this from multiple people. I'd be curious what the Championship Sunday viewing numbers are.
Yeah,
compared to a Friday or a Saturday.
I get it. Some people have commented, say, hey, I love seeing Ben destroy his opponents. It's fun. He's worked hard for it. And then I see other people say it's so boring seeing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say the same thing about Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Roger Federer, Tom Brady.
But those guys are still like losing on occasion.
Yeah, and Ben Jones still loses on occasion. And they lost to Philip Locklear and Ben Newell.
Once in a while. But like Annalie's dad went on Facebook and was defending PPA really hard. Stephen
Waters.
Yeah, he probably had a couple drinks and got on there and was going ham. And he posted some stat that was like actually insane. He said something like 151-3 or something is what Annalie is.
Yeah.
Like that's wild. Dude.
That's a pretty big stat.
That's insane, right? And so that's a little bit different than like Tom Brady, 6 Super Bowls, but like over a 22-year career, you know? So I think it's a little bit different. But I don't know. Yeah.
Who's the most overpaid player now in pickleball?
Can I say?
I don't know.
I mean, I know what some of these contracts are. And I'll say that there's a couple challenger level players that absolutely made out. I don't know how. And some of those players just played APP and got waxed. And so it's even weirder.
Yeah.
And then I will say that there's a player who hasn't done much this year. Mm-hmm. Hasn't done much in a while.
Is it me?
No, actually, I think your contract's pretty fair, to be honest, compared to the other contracts. Mm-hmm. I mean, $5 million.
$5 million.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
Yeah, we've heard some.
But there's
crazy numbers.
There's a player that we were told got a 3-year, $2 million total contract.
Mm-hmm. And he hasn't done much.
And he has not done much. And I'm actually really shocked by that. But I think that there was a personal, I'll just say this. I think that there was a personal vendetta trying to get this player to sign with who they signed with.
What are your thoughts on Arizona's pickleball scene? Pretty
Arizona?
good.
Yeah, Arizona's good. Arizona's got a ton
really
of
good.
players. They got the Arizona Pickleball League that actually Angie Walker's playing in. A couple other players. I think Arizona's good. It's solid.
What does Steve Kuhn at the APP this weekend mean for Pickle Wars?
I think Steve Kuhn is just trying to keep all of his options open. It'd be stupid to sit on your hands now, right? You've got to.
Do you see those two working out, Ken and Steve?
No, dude, can you imagine those conversations? Do you think it even got to pickleball?
What are they talking about? Give us a summary
know.
of their conversations.
Honestly, I have no idea.
Asking about hair product or something like that.
Yeah. Do you think like Steve's jealous of Ken Sayers? He's like, hey, where did you get those hair plugs from? Hook a brother up.
All right. Are you playing MLP Atlanta? Any update since the last time? So as we talked about earlier, from what we've heard up till now, it's a go. Everyone's playing. I would imagine we'll get more final confirmation probably in the next 3 to 4 days.
Tyler's in. Tyler's going to play.
Have I looked into new partnerships for the PPA? Not yet, just because everything is up in the air and we have no idea what it's going to look like. And so there's a couple of people I'd love to play with. I love switching it up.
Speaking of, real quick,
I want to play with Jack Sock. That'd be fun.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you go hard after Jack Sock?
Well, I'm a lefty. He plays the left side. I play the right side.
Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't go hard after Jack Sock. But also, Cincinnati, MLP Cincinnati or PPA Cincinnati is this week, and you're playing with Alshon, right? Mm-hmm. And if that goes well,
he's playing PPA.
Potential PPA.
Yeah, your favorite guy.
Partnership. I mean, dude he's just wired different. There's something not right in that kid's head. But
somebody said we need Jimmy to make fun of Tyson more. Can you say a joke right now?
Dude, there's nothing. I mean, the only thing I'll say is that there was a quote. There was a quote, and he said that he doesn't like to talk trash. He doesn't ever chirp back, which is wild. If you watch the guy, he threw the bird at people, and he said that all he's trying to do is what did he say? All he's trying to do is win championships and get that bag. So I assume he's trying to get that bag for Meg to carry because he's not going to carry it himself. But yeah, I don't know. Tyson also said that he's really happy that all these players got paid, and but. I don't know. I think that it's easier for Tyson to say certain things because Tyson is one of the highest paid players on tour.
His Instagram followers increased significantly once Barstool Sports.
Yeah, that's interesting. 20,000 follower increase was kind of wild. Anyways, there's some big news coming out about Tyson soon, though. So
I just found your podcast, Best Pickleball Podcast. Thank you.
Where have you been? You just found it?
He said, watch all your episodes in 2 days.
Oh my, someone's binging us.
Yeah.
Weird. That's like Netflix. Oh.
Somebody said, where's Dave Fleming, Adam Stone, Cal McKenzie, et cetera, going to fall in all this stuff?
They got to be PPA, I would imagine.
I would imagine all those except for maybe Adam Stone. So Dave Fleming, he's PPA for sure.
Yeah.
Adam Stone, he might be MLP. I'm not 100% sure.
He is an MLP GM for the Hard Eights.
Okay, yeah.
So I don't know how that factors into things. And then, but I don't know Dave Fleming, I think, works for the PPA. He was going to do.
Yeah, he does for sure.
Yeah,
he's a commentator.
Yeah, but like Mish is contracted, I think.
Correct.
So because Mish is on the MLP podcast,
yes,
with Tyson Apostle. Yeah. So the question is are they contracted, and is that going to change?
Yeah,
or are they still going to do both? I don't know.
With everything going on, has your opinion on the necessity of agents changed?
Let's talk about agents for a minute.
Thoughts?
Let's just say this. I think that
me, I still don't like them. I don't think they're great.
I think in this situation, it's kind of wild because I heard specifically from players that were like, I'm not getting my agent involved. Mm-hmm. I already have a sick offer. Why go pay them 20%? Mm-hmm. And they literally signed their deals without talking to agents.
Yeah.
They had no reason to. Agents started this whole thing. Agents were the ones that kind of started this entire coup. And I mean, I think that's huge. I think that they ended up helping all of these players to start it.
Yeah.
But they're also taking all those players that went with these agents those agents are taking a 20% cut.
They're the ones who are the real winners right now.
They're the winners. Exactly. That's a huge freaking cut.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, we're talking $50, $60, $70, $80,000 off a player, $100,000 per contract. Yeah. So those agents definitely made out, and that's a lot of money for these players to give up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What's your favorite MLP memory versus favorite PPA memory? My favorite MLP was probably Daytona.
Was that your wife that sent that in?
No, it was this other guy who writes in a lot. I like him.
That's a really good question.
Yeah. Probably Daytona. That was our first time winning the MLP tournament. Uh-huh. It was a lot of fun. San Clemente, we also won, but it was weird because we won. And then the next day, within 24 hours, we were playing the super finals and we lost. And so it was just kind of clouded. But PPA, I took a lot of bronze medals last year. That was kind of fun with Callan.
Didn't you guys get the championship Sunday once?
I did with McGuffin. Your boy McGuffin.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When are we getting those videos of you guys playing? You do not want to see Jimmy playing.
You guys,
it will make you feel like you are a 7.0 player.
No, I posted on my Instagram that one video, just like a brief snippet of it.
You a college football fan?
Love college football.
Top three
college football teams?
Yeah.
Georgia has got to be number one. After yesterday, I'm going to put USC at number 2 if their defense can hold up. But Caleb Williams is just insane. And then number 3, I'm going to go with Alabama. It's hard to sleep on Alabama.
Okay. We'll do just 2 or 3 more questions. Tyler, since you discovered drilling, give us a rundown of your drill sesh.
Can I just tell you that Tyler Lung discovering drilling has become like a meme?
I hope so.
It's kind of funny. But yeah, let's hear it.
So a lot of people think, so I didn't say that to be boastful or arrogant or cocky or anything like that. I was just saying, hey, I've been playing pickleball 9 years or whatever, and I've never once gone to a court specifically with balls and somebody else to drill with. I've played a lot of rec games, and they've been very serious for hours at a time, and there were things that I worked on, but I never went to a court and like had somebody feed me balls. And lately, the past 4 weeks, I've started drilling, and what I've been working on is a lot more aggression, speeding up balls, and taking balls out of the air. And so it's been a lot of fun. I've been working on a lot of different angles, inside out, inside ins. And so, yeah, we get Jimmy on the other side, and I'll just
Have you started implementing this on the court yet?
Yes.
Like
yeah.
in terms of like, are you trusting it?
Yes. Yep. More and more. I think I'll still need another 2 months for me to start to feel really comfortable with it, but I am using it.
You're noticing the difference.
For sure.
Love that.
For sure. We played against AJ and Travis last tournament, and there were a couple shots that I for sure used that I didn't have before.
That's awesome.
So it was fun. I'm excited for the next 2 to 3 months. All right. Let's see. Are you concerned the PPA doesn't have enough talent depth? I'm not. I think it'll be fine. I think PPA will do just fine. They have so many players signing up, and it's just going to be a matter of time. I keep saying Connor Garnett. I mean, he started playing a year and a half ago, and he's already up at the top. I think it's going to be fun for a lot of players to witness the growth of these new players coming in. Jack Sock will be a lot of fun to follow along with.
I think they're going to hit on some of these players, right? I mean, they have a very specific model. They're going after these tennis players, right? I mean, the tennis player they just signed from Wichita, literally they took their picture off of her college page.
They've done that a couple times.
And they photoshopped the paddle in her hand.
Yeah.
But if you look at the picture, the handle, it's still a tennis racket.
Hey.
But there's a paddle. But I'm just saying, like, those players, obviously we know that the transition from tennis to pickleball makes it easier. Mm-hmm. It's not always a guarantee, but the learning curve is definitely a lot smaller.
For sure. Do you think they'll ever do a PPA versus MLP event? A lot of people were talking about this in years past, and it never came to pass. I don't think they will.
I think there's too much bad blood at this point, but I mean, if these tours both end up being successful and we're a year, 2 years down the road, then maybe.
I don't think so.
Because everybody loves money, but there's no reason to really.
Who wins?
Well, honestly, I mean, it depends on what the format is.
Yeah.
But there's really no reason to, because
I think it'd be easier for PPA players to go to a MLP rally scoring format than it would be for MLP players with a rally scoring format to play in a non-rally scoring format, if that makes sense.
That's true, but they've been playing non-rally scoring their whole careers.
Yes, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But yes, down the road, sure. But also there's no benefit, because like if MLP's like, we're the best ever, and then we go play PPA and PPA smashes them, right? Or vice versa, then or PPA's like, well, we have Ben Johns and Annalie, like we have the 2 best players in the world, and then they lose playing PPA versus MLP, then it's like, okay, we lose that.
Yeah, it's just going to be interesting. I mean, I really think this is a pivotal time in pickleball, if you want to call it that. Yeah. If MLP wins out, I mean, more so than just them winning out, I think that's huge in terms of pickleball. I talked about this one or two podcasts ago. Like, most people will probably switch to rally scoring format. They'll start doing team events more.
Yeah.
And right now, I don't know how that's going to play out, and it's going to change the landscapes drastically. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Any other questions on your end?
No, I don't think so. I was just looking really quick at PPA Cincinnati. We'll go really fast here, but there's some really interesting matchups, really interesting partnerships. Women's doubles. You have Lindsay Newman and Tina Pisnik.
Okay.
Which I think that defensively that might be the best team, but the question is, will there be enough offense there?
Yeah.
But defensively, that's an insane team. Leah Jansen and Lacey Schneeman, they've played together. They've done pretty well. Megan Dazan and Anna Bright back together again. Do they have enough firepower to beat Annalie and Catherine?
Well, I think this tournament, you're going to see a lot more names. I felt like Kansas City, not everybody was there.
Yeah.
And so I think there's going to be even more competition. So it should be fun for them to test them out.
For sure. And then men's doubles really quick. You and Alshon. This is your first time playing together, right?
Yep.
Ben and Colin are back. Callan Dawson, Julian Arnold.
Who's Riley or Matt with?
Matt is with Rafa Hewitt.
Interesting.
Yeah. So Matt and Rafa.
Cool.
Riley and Thomas Wilson.
Okay.
And then the other one that I thought was...
And that's one that you wanted to see for quite some time.
Yeah. I thought Thomas was a better partner for Riley than Julian and AJ.
Yeah.
AJ's playing with Eric Lang.
Okay.
And then one other one that I thought was interesting, and this could be one of those teams that makes like a semi-run, or it could be a team that's out in the first round. Connor Garnett and Gabe Tardio.
Yeah, they've played a couple times, and I think they've had pretty good success. But yeah, I mean, it especially in these PPA tournaments. I mean, you have one bad game and then you lose.
Yeah, you're out,
there's
right?
no come around. So
Do you wish there's still a back draw?
I go back and forth. I'm fine that there's not, but I mean, obviously, there's times where it's like I wish I had a couple more matches.
If MLP does tour events, should they do a back draw?
That's a big question. I don't know.
So, and then real quick, we'll go mixed. Rafa got Matt Wright and Tyra Black.
Okay.
What? Who is he paying these days?
He's plugged into that Florida
He
group.
is plugged in. That's impressive. Alabama to Florida. Let's see. You and Rihanna Valdez. Mm-hmm. So Rihanna's an up and comer. Jesse and Riley, Leia and Fed, J-Dub and his sister, Elise and Jay. I mean, there's nothing that's really crazy. Pablo and Jackie Kawamoto.
Yeah.
Christian Alshon and Andrea Coop. That's an interesting one. Well, the reason I think
Have
that's...
you seen Coop's husband?
Yeah.
Do you know what he looks like?
Yeah.
People say Alshon looks kind of like him.
Well, maybe that's why. Yeah. Honestly, I was thinking maybe he just needed an attorney. And so he's trying to get in with her. I don't know.
Oh, that's bad.
And then let's see, Stratman and Julian. Oh, that's interesting. They're playing together. Edda continues to just check out a mix and play with Colin. But yeah, anyways, exciting. It's exciting to get back to actual pickleball this week.
Yeah.
So
we'll see. Beginning of this week, honestly, minute by minute, stuff was fluid. Things were changing, but the past few days, it's slowing down a little bit.
Yeah, slow down. Everybody's signed now.
Yeah.
Everybody, not everybody, but everybody that, is going to move the needle, unless there's some big name tennis player coming over, because I've heard some rumors.
Roger Federer?
Well, I just heard there's rumors that PPA is trying to catch a big fish. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, good. Should be a good week. And obviously, if something breaks or we hear any news, we will definitely jump on some sort of emergency pod.
All right. Once again, thank you to our sponsors. If you like this video, please do us a favor, like, share, subscribe. It helps us. It shows this video to a new audience. Thank you to our sponsors. We got the Pickler. We got the Pickler shop. Go buy your next paddle from them. Use code KOTC for a discount. We also got Crown Pickleball. Really good pickleballs. They don't break. They don't get wobbly nearly as much as the competitors. It's great value. Use code KOTC at checkout. We got mod balls. Guys, check them out. They're really good, honestly, and they're healthy. Jimmy, they're super healthy, right?
So healthy, yeah.
But then he just adds ice cream to it.
Do you want to look like me? Get some oddballs.
That's not a good question.
That's a great question.
And then we got Vulcan. Check out their new line or their backpacks, V-Pro backpacks, one of the best in the market. You go to any tournament, you're going to see a lot of those. Hey, I'm talking.
Sorry, wrong podcast.
Wrong podcast. All right, use code KOTC. All right, thanks. Anything else, Jimmy?
No, that's it. Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Okay, we'll see you guys next time.